You guys, I don't even remember the last time I've worn a bra, but I really wanted to wear this top today. Only problem is that it's see-through, so I kind of had to. And I feel like I'm in a corset and I can't breathe, so that's great. Anyways. Hey squirrels, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juniper Rose. If you are new here, welcome to my weird little channel where we're a bunch of squirrels. And if you happen to just want to join the madness, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Today is going to be part 3 of my tarot mini series. I really hope that you guys have been enjoying it. But if you did happen to miss the first 2 videos, I will have those linked down in the description box below. So go ahead and check those out before watching this video, as we do go over some of the history, myths, and basically what's in a tarot deck and what all of the suits mean, and you know, just a bunch of things like that, and then shenanigans. So yeah. Go watch those first and then come back to watch part 3. Today we are going to talk about how to choose your first tarot deck, some tarot basics, and then we will talk a little bit about some spreads. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. But first, go ahead, grab some coffee, tea, mashed potatoes, french fries, anything to do with potatoes, and let's get right on into it. Alright, so first off, how do you select your first tarot deck? Selecting your first tarot deck can be a bit tricky sometimes. It's very important to remember that oracle cards are different from tarot cards. I mean, they do accomplish relatively the same thing, but oracle cards are a bit different. Now, if you do want me to do a video later on all about oracle cards, I would be more than happy to. Just go ahead and leave a comment down below if that is something that you are interested in seeing. But for today, we are talking about tarot cards. Now, you are going to want to find a deck that speaks to you in some way. You may be attracted to the overall theme or aesthetics of the deck, or you may even just be attracted to the simple vibe of it. This is going to be mostly important for selecting your first deck, because I definitely feel that the better that you vibe with your particular first deck, then the easier it will be to learn how to read and interpret tarot. If you don't feel a particular pull or connection with your deck, you may have a bit of a harder time doing so. Next, let's talk about bonding with your new deck. Now, bonding with your new deck is going to be a very important step that maybe a lot of people don't realize. But this is how you get your deck to kind of feel your vibes and get to know your daily routine and just what everyday life is like for you. So I do recommend carrying your deck in your bag if you do carry a bag with you for about the first week or so, sleeping with it next to your bed and just kind of having it nearby you most of the time. I mean, like, obviously don't shower with your deck because that's dumb. It's going to ruin your deck. Like, don't even have the deck in the bathroom with you. Like, I personally find that bonding with my decks gives me more accurate readings, even if I am doing it for somebody else. So after you've spent about a week or so bonding with your deck, the next thing that I recommend for you to do is a deck interview spread. Again, let me know if you want a video on that. But basically, this is just a spread to kind of help you and your deck get to know each other, and it will give you a little bit of insights onto what the deck is all about. For example, my favorite deck and the first deck that I ever picked up is my Shadowscapes deck. This is an absolutely gorgeous deck and I vibed with it right away. Upon doing an interview spread with my particular deck, I learned that the Shadowscapes Tarot deck is definitely about shadow work and going into your shadows to bring them into the light, but it's also very good for everyday life situations, and I have noticed that even though it is very upfront about what your issues are, it's very soft and gentle at the same time. So So this is something that I was able to learn all from my interview spread with this particular deck. Now let's move on into how to use your tarot cards. Now this isn't going to be how to read and interpret your deck, as we did go over that in part 2 of this mini series. This is going to be more about how to use and take care of your deck. So the first thing that you are going to want to do, and that I highly recommend, is to charge your deck. Now, I love charging my deck with some of my favorite crystals, which also I feel helps the deck get to know what I've been vibing, especially more recently, because I frequently carry crystals around with me. So if I have a particular issue or problem that I need advice on, then oftentimes I will use a particular crystal that I have been walking around with for a while to charge my deck with. You can also charge your deck in the moonlight. Basically, it's the same as when you put your crystals out under the full moon to charge them. I like to put my cards out there as well. Now, before you do a reading, you're gonna want to knock out any excess energy. So what I typically do is I will hold the cards in my non-dominant hand, and then I will use my dominant hand to knock 3 times on my deck to clear out any excessive energy. Now, for you, you may find it easier to do this before you do your reading and after you've charged it. For me personally, I like to knock out the excess energy before I do any charging. Now, if you feel like your deck needs some extra energy cleaning, I do recommend smudging your deck. All you have to do is basically hold your deck over the smoke from a sage wand or Palo Santo or whatever you like to use to cleanse your space with. I find this very effective. So once you've knocked out the energy, you are going to want to shuffle your cards. Especially if it is brand new out of the package, they may be already in order according to major arcana and minor arcana, so you want to kind of mix things up a bit. So I definitely recommend just gently shuffling your cards. I highly advise you not to shuffle them like a regular deck of playing cards. These cards definitely are special and they need to be well taken care of. So I'll lightly just shuffle them through my hands. Sometimes if I feel like they need a good extra mixing, I will spread them out and just kind of haphazardly shuffle them around as I see fit. Now, once your cards are shuffled, you are ready to begin your reading. I recommend doing a few readings on yourself before you try it on friends or family. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a particular question in mind that you need advice with or that you want to get some insight into. Once you have your question in mind, hold your deck in both of your hands and ask your cards the question. You don't have to do this out loud, of course. You can just ask the question in your mind and really let your energy flow into the cards. Now, what I like to do when I am doing a reading is I like to spread them all out and kind of move my hand over, and if a particular card gives me tingles or it feels warm under the palm of my hand, then usually I'll know that's the card to pick. Now, there are several different ways to pick cards. You can always pick off the top cards from your deck, and it will take a little bit of time to figure out which method works for you, but there are several different methods to do so. This is just how I personally like to. Now, most decks will come with a little booklet that has some information about each of the cards and what their meanings are, and depending on the deck that you get, it may be a little bit different from another deck, but generally what I like to do personally is I will read what's in the booklet and just kind of take that in with a grain of salt. I will also look at the card, look at the illustrations, and see what things are sticking out to me in that particular illustration. Also, any thoughts or images that come into mind, I take that all into consideration when I am doing my reading. Now, some people like to go straight from the booklet. Some people like to completely toss the booklet out the window. I'm more of a big picture kind of gal, and I like to get every bit of information I can before narrowing down and vibing exactly what the card is trying to tell me. But again, moral of the story, methods of interpretation are going to be a little bit different for everyone. This is your time to really explore that and get to know how you like to do it for yourself and in the future for others. Now, sometimes you are going to get a card reversal. A card reversal is when you draw a card and it is upside down. This is typically interpreted as the antonym of the meaning of the card when it is right side up. Now, just because you do get a reversed card in your reading, or even if all of the cards in your reading are upside down, it's not the end of the world. It usually just means that there is some kind of deeper issue going on in your subconscious that you need to be made aware of. Now, there are several different types of tarot layouts that you can use depending on what type of advice you are looking for. We've got some basic spreads, we've got chakra spreads, we've got spreads for the whole year, we've got spreads for when the moon is in a particular zodiac sign or the sun is in a particular zodiac sign. There are probably hundreds of different types of tarot layouts that are available. What I recommend is starting out with something very simple and well known. A one card spread is going to be the simplest and probably also the easiest way to help you get to know your individual cards. And this is also a very good way for answering some simple questions or giving you insight into a particular everyday life situation. A lot of people like to draw one card every morning to start their day off with, have your cup of coffee, draw your card, and it just kind of gets them in the vibe for the day, and I highly recommend giving that a try. Now, the next most common spread is going to be a 3-card spread. This will typically indicate past, present, and future for whatever situation you are looking to get advice or help with. This also gives you a little bit of more depth and insight into your question, whether it is an everyday life situation or even if it is a slightly bigger one. Now, once you get more familiar and comfortable with your deck and you are more familiar with interpreting some simple card spreads, there are several other classic spreads that you can definitely try out. So for some examples, we've got the Celtic Cross spread, we've got the Horseshoe spread, the Astrological Year spread, basically just a bunch of different spreads that you can kind of play around and experiment with. Now, once you even get more comfortable, sometimes it's really fun to create your own spreads. Yes, that is something that you can do. So maybe you have a particular situation that's going on that you feel none of the existing spreads or spreads that you are familiar with are not exactly clicking for what you're wanting to get out of your reading. So in that case, you can definitely create your own spread. While we do have basic guidelines for how to use tarot and how to do different types of spreads, ultimately it's going to be up to you and how you want to do it. There's no set black and white rule on you're doing it wrong, per se. Now, one other thing that I do recommend for you to do is to keep a journal of all of your readings. I like to draw out the spread in my journal and then kind of write down what card I got for each of it and what I interpreted the meaning as. This is very useful to kind of write things down because you may get some more messages coming in as you are writing, and it can just kind of help with the whole process and flow of your reading. Not only that, but you can also take a look at some of your past spreads that you've done and really put things into perspective, seeing like, oh, so I made this decision and this is what the card said would be a likely outcome, and yeah, I can definitely see how they were right, or whatever. Things don't always turn out in the future exactly as you imagine it, and it may be something that you didn't even think of, but is still perfectly accurate according to your reading. So it's really interesting to just kind of go back and take a look at some of those past readings. And that is actually all that I have for you squirrels today. I really did my best to not ramble as much because I know that part 1 was just like 30% of me rambling about potatoes, which, I mean, it happens. Like, I'm sorry if you get mad at me rambling, but that's just who I am, and you can skip ahead to the important shit. So, that's that. So, do you guys have a particular favorite tarot card, or do you guys have a reading that you've done before that you found to be extremely accurate or helpful? If you are comfortable, go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know. Just as a reminder, again, I am uploading videos twice a week. I post new videos every Sunday and every Thursday, so stay tuned for some future videos. I've got so many awesome videos planned out for the next couple of months, and I've really got my fingers crossed that I can stick with this upload schedule, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm so excited for some of the content that will be coming out. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what the hell are you doing? Subscribe! Become a squirrel! Join the madness! Eat potatoes! It's great! If you don't feel comfortable commenting about either what your favorite tarot card is, or if you've had a particularly cool reading in the past that you want to share, just go ahead and leave a little Joker emoji down in the comments below, because that really helps with the algorithms on my videos and helps me get seen, because I love this family and I just want us to grow and be awesome and just have all the shenanigans and today we are going to talk about, wow, okay. We'll go over a bit, hello? No thank you. God, that's so rude. I'm filming. Jeez. That's attractive. This is Turpically. Alright, let's just combine words and make up new ones. Screw English for your... Thank you! This...